and Chris Gibbs kindly joins us on the Punters Lounge Live. Good morning to you, Chris. What can you tell us about the weather that presents now and what it's likely to be throughout the day?
Hi, Jason. Yeah, the track should stay good, I think. It only really changes if we get some sort of decent heavy rain on the day, and they are, like you said, they are forecasting some showers, but it's beautiful at the moment, so hopefully.
Always a busy day for you, I know, so we appreciate you giving up your time. We'll go through all the races, starting with race number 1. It's a staying trip, and obviously Red Cayenne coming out changes the nature of it. Volant looks like the leader. You've got Dragon Storm, who's showing up at the moment at $3.20. Last time at the track, Dragon Storm was quite brilliant. How happy are you with him and how he's come through that run?
Oh, no, I'm very happy with him, Jason. He was obviously due to run at Ellerslie a little while ago, but it was just a bit testing on that Monday of the long weekend, and we thought, well, we'd rather wait for this. It is a jump in class. That's about the only thing. But he's in good order, and he'd only have to run as good as he did last time, and I think he'd be sort of right in it somewhere, especially with the top weight out.
Showed a really good turn of foot. That must have pleased you.
Yes, it did actually. I was, we always had this idea that he was just a bit one-paced, and Leith Dennis rode him at Ellerslie for us, and he said, gee, if you just get him over a mile and a half, he's going to stay all day. So we were sort of thinking, we'll just use this run at Ruakaka, because there's just nothing around for those sort of horses. It's hard to place them. And he was, tardy out of the gates again, and Opie he had no choice but to just ride him and sit quietly. And he came right up underneath him and travelled beautifully the whole way. And he said, when he pulled him out, he just worked on him and he quietly started to make the ground. So I guess that's the thing to him. He's just going to have to get some clear air at the right time.
Race number 2 is the Whangarei Bus Services. You've got 3 runners in it, and in this maiden, it's over 1,400 metres with Lord Polonius $3.30. Chapeau with the blinkers on is $5.50. My Sky drawn 12 is at $16. Starting with Lord Polonius to begin with, has had the last couple of runs at Pukekohe and also Ruakaka for second. What did you make of those?
Yeah, all of his runs have actually been very good. He's still learning a little bit, and we did discuss the thought of putting blinkers on him. We worked him up in them, and I wasn't that happy at the time, really, that he worked well enough in them. He was doing a couple of things wrong, and I thought, he's probably going to go for a spell after this anyway. We'll just leave him alone at the moment and maybe consider blinkers next time. But he's in good order. His work's been good. He's fresh and nice. And the same with Chapeau. She's done the same thing. So.
Makataka was beating Lord Polonius last time and will line up in the 4th on the program. Tell us a little bit more about Chapeau. She's often been there in her maiden races. She's had 10 attempts thus far, so you're expecting slightly sharper sort of run to the line from the daughter of Denman with those blinkers on?
Yeah, she was just over-racing a little bit, and she wasn't quite strong enough to race Handy early in the piece. She lacked that strength, so... but it was something we'd always tossed around. We just had to get her to settle properly. So I think she's sort of done that. But in saying that, we have freshened her a touch. Her work's been good. She should race Handy from her draw. And with blinkers on, from what I can gather, that the owners have told us that actually the family seems to be a family that has had blinkers on and can improve them. So we've gone along down that path, and let's hope that she can just get that elusive win.
What are you expecting from My Sky in a fresh state?
She can really gallop My Sky, but from her draw, we're really dictated by that. I think we just go back fresh. She will be running on strongly. I know that for a fact. But she just may get a little bit too far out of her ground, but it's a good starting point for her.
Race number 3 is the Northland Veterinary Clinic, over 1,400 metres for the rating 82 gallopers. Hanger is $3.30. You've got Magic of the Sun there at $4.80. And you present Amazing As at $4, Chris, a horse that showed a lot of ability last preparation. What happened at the tail end of last preparation that saw that form sort of maybe be a little bit below expectation?
Yeah, it was below, and there just had to be something going on. He hung quite bad in that race and ran out. And it turned out he had a little niggly injury in a leg that didn't show up until some pretty serious vetting and things that popped up, and so it was enough to be causing him pain under full extreme, pressure, where it wasn't actually showing up in his work. So it was an unusual one, and the vet was quite flabbergasted when he saw it. But he's had a good spell. He is a serious horse. I know that for a fact. So I think you're just going to put a line through that last run completely. Probably a bit short, and they may be a bit classy for him over the distance, but he's a nice horse, and I'd expect him to run very well.
How encouraged were you with his trial when he ran second at Avondale about a month ago?
I'm very happy with it. Very happy with the trial. The track was dead, but it was sort of cutting out a little bit, and we just wanted to send him there just to bring him on a touch. He probably didn't really need it as such. He might have been sharper for this, but because he'd had such a long layoff, the fact is, you just want to get a nice, quiet something under their belt before they have their first run with such a big break. So I'm happy with him. His work's been really good. And I just hope I've got left enough, a little bit of spark in his legs to show something fresh up. So, no, I'm very happy with him.
Chris Gibbs speaking to us on the Punters Lounge Live about his and Michelle Bradley's runners today, speaking of amazing airs and very glowing terms, and maybe a horse that you want to go to the TAB website and favourite, because not only for today's fresh up assignment but for future assignments as it gets deeper into preparation and over ground. Race number 4 is over 1,600 metres for the 3-year-olds, and $2.80 is the price for Quizmaster, the favourite in the event. We saw Makataka break maidens in a video clip a few moments ago before not really coping with the heavy track at Ellerslie. Stilton has been running on brilliantly, the daughter of Savabeel. What can you tell us about Quizmaster and the gelded son of Ifraj relative to Makataka?
I think they're both on a par. I do. The difference, I think, it's going to be hard to know how Quizmaster, where he's going to race. I would think he'd be forward. He's been a little bit, he can be a little bit sort of bullish in his run sometimes, and Cameron may elect to go forward on him, so I'll just leave that up to him. Whereas Makataka can be forward, but also, he's not going to over race. He'll just sit where he's put, which is that's a big plus. So if I was leaning towards one, it'd probably be him. I'd put a line through Makataka's last run, but Quizmaster, I thought his run was very, very good considering he swept around them at counties, and it's very hard to hit the front at the top of counties and try and lead all the way down the straight. I think if you've seen enough races there, you'll see that most of them get bombed, but he stuck on really well. So I was pleased with his run, and he's improved.
So very strong hand in race number 4, the 3-year-old race, that is for sure. Going to the next on the program, race number 5, where we see Rikki Tikki Tavi in the Trig Construction, and the visor goes on Rikki Tikki Tavi, a sprinting mare, Chris, who has been so competitive against the highest quality sprinters in New Zealand, it must be said. So you must think that this sort of race is well within her grasp.
Yeah, I do. I mean, even her last run, if you really put it in perspective, I know it sort of looked ordinary, but she drew wide there. We raced back. I sort of said to Sam, there's no point trying to come around them, but she sort of elected to do that, and she's been beaten 3.8 lengths, but it was still a good run. She tries very hard. Some people might have been disappointed with it, but I actually thought, considering that was a front running track. So we've decided to just change something around a little bit. We put the visor blinkers on. She's had different sorts of gear on way back previously, and the only reason she sort of stopped was she didn't breathe that well. She's since had a tongue tie on in every race she's had, and it certainly made turned her around a bit. So I would like to think that she may jump and be quite handy today, and even lead if there's nothing else that wants to do that. So it'll be an interesting run today. I guess she deserves to be favoured if you're looking at the sort of races she's running, and like you said, against very good company. So, it'd be nice to get her back in that winner's circle, definitely.
Very interesting to see if she can jump and go and whether she can stay on Rikki Tikki Tavi. We know how competitive she has been. That's race number 5. The Ryburn and Bryant 1200 is the next on the program, and Mum's Jewel is $4.40 from Von Trapp. You've got Chiquitita and Chin Chin at $7 and $9.50. Call Me Murphy is $16 and jumps from barrier 10. That win, breaking maidens, was a narrow victory, but a deserved one, Chris.
Yeah, he blew out the last little bit, so it's probably. I was very happy that he managed to just hold on. He was a bit chubby, so he's improved a lot since that run. Draw was very awkward. I think there is enough pace in there. He's going to end up, if he tries to go forward, he's just going to get caught wide. So we'll just have to ride him, hopefully, for a bit of luck. And so, if he can be in the first half dozen or so, I'd be extremely happy with that. But I think it sort of sets up a bit better for the other filly, yeah.
Do you think Mums Jewel can go on with it today? Because, again, she was quite dominant in the margin and the manner of her victory.
She was. She really did put them to the sword the other day, and I'd like to think she could do it again because she's certainly in exactly the same order, if not. She was fit. She was fit the other day, and we've just kept it ticking over, more maintenance type gallops and things like that, and she just looks awesome. She's got a beautiful draw. Matty's ridden her before. He knows her, and to Matt's credit, we've always been trying to get her to settle and come back, and it was a work in progress because she was quite she used to bore down into the bit and be hard to stop. So we chose to go forward the other day, and because she was fit and well, she's a big, strong filly. So there won't be any change to those instructions, and so I think that and Matt will pop her out of the gates and get her forward. There's a little bit of speed in it, and of course you've got to respect there's some good form in this race. It's a good betting race. So certainly not a home run by any means, but she's my best chance of the three, definitely.
Sort of how important have the air covers been the last two starts and allowing her to settle as well just a little bit better?
Yeah, I think it's made a lot of difference. It just needed to be just to give you that little bit of at the end that little bit of energy. She just used to over race and she'd use it all up early. So I mean, if the air covers, whether they've actually done that or whether she's just learned to be a little bit more easier to handle in the races, but certainly won't be taking them off anyway, Jason. We've got a good result out of it, and I think she'll run very, very well today. She'll be right in it.
You're training the Fame Game for the Rogers also. Is it a case from the draw of just trying to get the horse to settle a little bit over the trip and then go from today's race onwards?
Yeah, we had a chat to Robert and Russell a little while ago when I was down at their property in Cambridge, and they would sort of mentioned that this horse, he probably wants that better ground, and rather than travelling him up and backwards and forwards all the time, to just asked us to take him on, which was great. He's quite a fierce customer. I've watched all his runs, and I changed a little bit of gear, but to be honest, I'm only putting on things that he's probably had on before anyway. I just hope there's enough. If there's plenty of pace in the race, then he could just roll over top of them. The big thing is getting him to settle. Matt Cameron rode him, and he's strong at Ellerslie, and he just reefed and pulled, and we had to pull him out. Otherwise, you'd think he was going to clip heels. So he's a difficult horse. We've just got to hope that he doesn't do too many things wrong, because he obviously can gallop. We'll just have to see on that one. He's a bit of a mystery one.
Race number 7 is over the 1,600 metres, brought to you by Pierce's Flooring Extra, rating 65. Super G, we've heard from Stephen Hunt, is very well backed, $2.10. 3 runners in the race for you and Michelle here, Chris. Super G, is he clearly the best of them?
I think so. I think he's a standout in amongst them. He'll race, on pace. He's got a lovely draw. He's a big horse. He can push his way out of the way if he needs to. His form's awesome. I mean, he only failed once in that mile, in the Karaka mile, and it was because he was nominated. You probably get sucked into running. It might not have been the best race, but we put a line through that. And if you look at the rest of his form, it's very, very good. He is a stayer, but I think the mile up here on his home track, he'd be hard to beat. Yeah, definitely.
Red Dynamo and also Boogie Easy in the race for seeing the closing stages of Ellerslie and Verbalise all line up in race number 8 for Shane Crawford. But how about the other 2 chances? What are you expecting from those?
Well, Boogie Easy, if you were going on just form and things, her run was really good on quite a testing track at Ellerslie. We sort of threw her in there, and she came out quite wide and still ran very, very well. We thought, well, not much point bypassing our own home track on a better surface. She'll probably, if we can get her forward, she might race quite handy. Depends how she jumps, so that'll be up to Craig. But Steph's first time up to the mile. It'll be interesting to see whether she is a miler. I don't know, but she's in good order, so we're just going to give her a bit of a try. And the other horse, Red Dynamo, well, he's bred to go over a lot more ground. He did so many things wrong, but he actually bit down on his tongue. Just as Sean tried to ease him back, he was just sort of getting a bit keen out facing the breeze and had no cover, and he tried to stop him, and he just got a bit ignorant, but he actually chewed on his tongue, came in with a big chunk, and was bleeding quite bad. So you've got to forgive him for that, because his manners haven't been too bad in his runs. So that's why we've ended up back here. We've put him in a couple of places, but it was just wide draws, and now we just sort of thought, well, we can't keep putting it off. But he will go forward from the draw. I'm not going to muck around today. I think he's better forward and in front. So if not long, hopefully nothing else goes with him, I'd like to see him go forward and take up the pace.
Okay, and the last race is Bream Bay Printing, and a big hand, very busy close to the program for Team Gibbs and Bradley. Copper Fox is $3.20, Poker Face is at $7, Lady Sequoia at $16, and Los Angeles at $51. Now, Poker Face has attracted good support, and today the son of Jimmy Shue has a far kinder draw than what was delivered to him at Ellerslie last time.
Yeah, exactly. I guess on that run from the draw, I thought I would rank him as my probably number one chance. Even though I have a huge respect for Copper Fox, I like him a lot. I always have. It really is just whether Sam can get Copper Fox out. But Poker Face, his run at Ellerslie was huge. He came right around them, covered a heap of ground, and really hit the line strongly. So his form's good at Ruakaka. He'd only have to frank that form and just be a touch handier in the run without, sort of stuffing up the way he likes to race. But Andrew's ridden him before, he knows him, so won't be too many instructions. It'll just be more like get him out in the open and get him rolling a bit earlier, probably. And if you get a good chance to see how the track's playing out by then, and whether we have to change things a little bit. But he's my best chance, definitely.
A couple of 4-year-old mares and Lady Sequoia and also Los Angeles in that race. Well, no doubt your favourite part of any interview about your runners at your home track, Chris. We're going through your book of runners. Dragon Storm in the first, Lord Polonius, Chapeau My Sky in the second, Amazing As in the third, Quizmaster and Makataka into Ricky Tiki Tavi in the fifth, Call Me Murphy in race number 6 there. We've also got Mum's Jewel, the Fame Game, and various other runners down the page. There's Super G, Red Dynamo, Boogie Easy, Poker Face, Copper Fox, Lady Sequoia, Los Angeles. We'll give you 2, we'll give you best, and then we'll give you next best. We'll make it fractionally easier for you.
Well, I suppose I think Super G, he's a lovely horse, and we'll go on with things. If I had to throw value into it, it would be Poker Face. He's paying okay, I think. But for the punters out there, I guess it's a matter of just watching how the track plays out. If they're not coming from behind, it makes it a little difficult for those horses that get back. So Lady Sequoia should turn her form around, and even from the draw, she'll race hand. That's the secret if she's got gate speed. So it's like between, you just got to hope that they can get forward, and if the track plays that way. So it's more like just watch what's happening and maybe adjust your bet punting as the day goes on.
It's always a hard question, Chris, because obviously you want every runner that you present to perform well. What would sort of be a par number of wins that you and the team would be happy with?
Today?
Yes.
Well, yeah. Well, to be honest, there's a couple resuming that are chances of winning, but if you were going to just be ruthless about it, I would like to think, without sounding smart, I would like to think 3. I think Mum's Jewel can win, Super G. We've got a good hand in the last race, and then any of the other ones. Well, Ricky Tiki's a good chance, but we're just not quite sure with the change of gear. You never know what they do sometimes there. But if I could get 1, I'd be wrapped, and if I can get 3, I'd be over the moon. So anything around that would be great.